Bills Mafia? We have 325 days to go, 272 days. We have 263 days. We have 240 days to go. We have 198. We have 154 days. We have 97 days to go. We have 89 days to go. We have 86 days to go until the Buffalo Super Bowl 57.
And now it is time for the only channel dedicated to counting down the days until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57.
I just don't know if they're going to make it. I'm done.
What is up, Bills Mafia? We have 81 days to go until the Buffalo Bills win Super Bowl 57. This channel is going to document every single day leading up to that amazing moment with a video or live stream. Thought I'd jump on for a little bit tonight ahead of our big game against the Detroit Lions tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day. The Bills on Thanksgiving Day again. 3 out of the last 4 years, the Bills have been in that game, and it's always so far been great. They beat the Dallas Cowboys in what was probably easily their most exciting Thanksgiving Day game back in 2019. And then they had 2020 off, and then they beat the New Orleans Saints last season. And that was not a very close game. And we are expecting and hoping and expecting that tomorrow will be more like the Lions game, or it could be like the Cowboys game. That's fine, because I think we handled the Cowboys pretty well. And we're all expecting that tomorrow. We're all expecting the Bills to be able to handle business against the Detroit Lions tomorrow in the Motor City. Gonna just talk a little bit about the game, what we might see, what we could see, and what we need. And I also want to go over the season, talk about the games coming up, the Chiefs, the division. I mean, we are still in a dogfight for the AFC East, which is a little bit of a surprise past the midway point of the 2022 campaign. But I'm not worried about the division as much as I think you and I are all concerned that Buffalo might fall out of that. Well, they're out of that number 1 seed, and we're worried that they're not going to get back into that number 1 seed. So we're going to just look at the coming up schedule, see what the Chiefs are doing and what they've got coming up. The chances that Buffalo can pass the Chiefs. You got to excuse me. My eyes are going up on the Sabres game here. The Sabres, what the heck? 8-game losing streak, and then all of a sudden they come back and they throttle the was it the Canadians last night? Canadians? Senators? I forget who they beat. 7-3, and then they are winning tonight against St. Louis in the third period, 4-1. So I'm sorry, my eyes are kind of like going up on the screen there. Back to football. The Lions, the Bills tomorrow. It's the early game, 12:30, I believe, is kickoff. And the Bills, of course, Bills and Lions both are coming off of their games on Sunday. And so it's a quick turnaround, but I think it's a little bit tougher on the Bills. Now, I know it's tougher on the Bills because the Bills had to travel from Buffalo to play in Detroit on Sunday because of the snowstorm, and then travel back to Buffalo. And now, of course, they are in Detroit now for tomorrow's contest. So I think the advantage goes to the Lions on that. The Lions players haven't had to deal with all the stuff that the Bills players have had to deal with. And it's going to be a factor. It's going to be a factor. I was surprised at how much of a factor it was that Buffalo had to do what they had to do to get to the Browns game. It took them a whole half to finally get going again. And once they did, they took care of business. But So I could see this being somewhat of a factor, a small advantage for the Lions. Certainly not enough for them to overcome a 9.5-point spread, which is what Vegas has Buffalo favorite by in this game, which is pretty significant considering that the Lions have won 3 in a row and they've played some solid football games this year. We're going to go over that in a minute too to look at who they've beaten, by how much, how many points they've scored. They're kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team, but you know they have the talent to stack up against the Bills enough to keep the game competitive. We'll see if they can, keep it close, and that's basically what all teams are trying to do this season, is just try to keep the games close against the Bills until they can, hopefully pull it out at the end. That's what the Jets did. That is what I can't say the Vikings did, but that's what the Jets did. And that's also, I know what the Dolphins had to do. They just had to keep that game close. They did, and they pulled it out. All right. First things first. Let's go over the injury report. And still not great for the Bills. It's not horrible. Here's the injury report from Wednesday. As you can see, Tremaine Edmunds is out. Greg Rousseau's out. 2 big guys there, and not just physically speaking. 2 big players on the defense are out. As much as I do not like Tremaine Edmunds and his level of play sometimes, he's shown to be better than who has come in to replace him, specifically the guy's name is escaping me. That's how bad he's played. I can't even think of the dude's name. Smith, is it? I don't know. Anyway, the linebacker play has definitely dropped off with Tremaine Edmunds out. But thankfully, Milano's back and has been back. Of course, he played against the Browns and got AFC Defensive Player of the Week, which was awesome. So, yeah, the fact that Edmunds is not going to be playing hurts. We're also going to miss Greg Rousseau. I think not having him on the defensive line has shown to cause a little bit of disruption, especially in the run defense. Beyond that, we are not expecting A.J. Epinesa to play. I think he definitely contributes when he's in, but it's good to see that Kaiir Elam apparently is good to go, and we definitely missed him on in the secondary. So that's good there. And, of course, we continue to wonder if Trey White's going to play. I don't know. I haven't heard the latest whether or not he is going to be playing in this game or not. Questionable, Mitch Morse. Hopefully he can go. You definitely do not want to be without Mitch Morse. Definitely do not want to be out with Mitch Morse. And besides that, the team is getting healthier, and Poyer's back, and that's gigantic. So it's good to have Poyer back. So that's a quick look at the injury report. I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. This team has gone into games this year with a whole lot less at their disposal. They have been in some of these games, especially on defense, fighting with squirt guns rather than their M60 machine guns. And so it's nice to have these guys, some of these guys back. Kaiir Elam, I think he is an outstanding. I mean, Pro Football Focus has him as one of the top cornerbacks in the league. Now, besides that, Trey White. We're on Trey White watch. I haven't looked at the latest. I should have looked at the latest before I got on here. So it would be great if Trey White comes back. And if he does, if he's in this game at all, it'll mark exactly, well, maybe not exactly 1 year, but he got hurt in the Thanksgiving game last season against the New Orleans Saints. So if Trey White comes back, that'll be kind of, I don't know, kind of like a symbolic return for Trey White. All right, let's look at the Lions injury report. Now, I don't really know any of these guys that well, but, any injury reported is definitely significant. The Lions are going to be without Evan Brown, Going to be without Charles Harris, Jacob Jackson, Jonah Jackson, and you can see the rest there. Again, I don't know specifically what these guys do, but I know they're injured along the defensive front somewhat. And also, I believe one of their better running backs is out. But Lions coming in there with their share of injuries. Nothing too spectacular, but it's not going to be a game where the Lions have a full complement of players while the Bills are struggling like some of the games that we've seen this season. So that is a quick look at the injury reports. I'm confident and I'm feeling good about the the health of the team going forward, and we definitely want to get healthier down the stretch because this is it, baby. This is it. Now we got 7 games. Can you believe we only have 7 games to go in this season? Can you remember? It didn't seem like too long ago when we were like counting down the days to training camp, and now we have 7 games to go in the regular season of play. Pretty surprising, honestly, that we're there already. The season has gone by so fast as the Sabres almost scored to make it 5-1. Boy, they were playing good. I don't know if you guys watch hockey at all. Sabres are my consolation prize. It used to be my consolation prize when the Bills' season ended. They have, of course, not been competitive for the longest time. This is a big game. All these games are big. From here on out, the Bills need to win. All the rest of their games in the regular season. If the Bills win out, if they go on what would ultimately be a 8-game winning streak, right? They beat the Browns. If they win their last 7 games and finish with an 8-game winning streak, I am confident they'll have the number 1 seed because I do not think the Chiefs are going to run the table either. I don't think the Chiefs will run the table along with the Bills. Let's look at the Bills' schedule real quick and see what we're looking at. Detroit Lions, then at the New England Patriots. That will not be an easy game. New York Jets home. That should be a very easy game. That game should be it should be a massacre. The Jets, I think, are starting to fall apart. They have a very serious quarterback problem there. Their quarterback, Zach Wilson, I saw him in him in that press conference after the loss. He looks like a real snot. So I can't see Zach Wilson. He's not even starting Sunday. He's been pulled for Mike White, which is interesting. So I think Zach Wilson has lost his team, and it may be a situation where Zach Wilson can kind of just at best hope to be a backup quarterback in this league from this point forward. Miami Dolphins at home. That should be a massacre. Chicago Bears on the road. I don't expect them to lose that game, but that might be a little bit tougher than we all hope. The big game is Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. That'll be a tough one. That will be a tough game right there. The Cincinnati Bengals, by that point, they should be fighting for the division, if not a playoff spot. And they're going to come into that game on Monday night fired up. That'll be Buffalo's toughest matchup down the stretch, without a doubt. Cincinnati Bengals. And then finally, the New England Patriots at home. And that game, there could be a lot on that game. That could be for the number 1 seed in the AFC in the playoffs. So, as long as Buffalo takes care of business tomorrow, goes and beats probably a tough New England team on the road, but they can definitely handle that. They should blow the Jets out. They should blow the Dolphins out. They should beat the Bears. Tough game against the Bengals, and they definitely would take care of business at home against the Patriots. Buffalo runs the table down the stretch, and I think that will give them the number 1 seed. We all know that's what we got to do. We all know it. So beyond that, before Buffalo can start thinking number one seed, if they do run the table, they are going to need one other team to falter at least once down the stretch, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs playing the Rams on Sunday. That is, that could be a tough game, although the Rams have definitely imploded this season. So I don't expect the Chiefs to lose to the Rams. So we can just chalk that up as a win. Then at the Cincinnati Bengals. So both the Chiefs and the Bills have tough road games against the Cincinnati Bengals. And that is going to be probably the game where we really need the Chiefs to fall at Cincinnati. That'll be huge. Boy, the Bills will be locked in on that game. After that, they play at the Denver Broncos. Divisional game can be tough. Broncos are not a slouch team. At Houston, that's a win for Kansas City. Seattle, tough team going into Arrowhead. I see the Chiefs, being the Chiefs will definitely be in the favorites in that game, and they should get out of Arrowhead with a win against the Seahawks. But that's another game that the Chiefs could lose. So if the Chiefs beat the Rams, Bengals, Broncos, Texans, that Seattle game is going to be gigantic. Then they're playing the Broncos at Arrowhead. That should be a win. And then they play at the Las Vegas Raiders. Always a tough game because it is a divisional game. So there are, I would say, 3 games on there that the Chiefs definitely could drop. It would be the Bengals, one against the Seahawks. Actually, 4. I would say the Bengals, one against the Broncos, the Seahawks, and the Raiders. So come on now. If you ask me, if the Bills run the table, if they win their last 7 games, starting tomorrow, the Chiefs are going to lose 1. And the Bills will get the number 1 seed. They'll get the number 1 seed because other than that, they would have beaten the Dolphins. And so they'll have that tiebreaker, I believe. Not exactly sure. But the Dolphins aren't going to win their all their games aside from just as they're going to lose more than just to the Bills. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we need. That's how it's got to work down. That's how it's got to shake down, baby. And it starts tomorrow. All right. What would the Lions have to do to beat the Bills tomorrow? It is the same formula that any team that has faced Buffalo has tried to make happen, and that is run the ball, control the clock, keep Josh Allen off the field, get turnovers, and hope that you're hanging around at the end to be able to pull it out. Keys to the game. That's all it is. For the Detroit Lions, they're going to have to make big plays. They're going to have to get turnovers. They're going to have to run the ball. And they're going to have to hope that Buffalo makes mistakes. If that succession of things happen, like we had against the Jets and the Dolphins, and the second half against the Vikings, which I cannot believe we lost that game, then Detroit has a chance at winning this game. They have to protect Jared Goff. He's playing, right? And they have to somehow, some way get to Josh Allen. Now, from what I understand, Detroit is a gigantic blitzing team. They blitz all the time. If that's the game they want to play, it's going to be the old adage, you live by the blitz and you die by the blitz. And I think they'll end up dying by the blitz a whole lot more than they're gonna live by it. So Detroit up and down the, on paper, up and down, it looks like Buffalo has the advantage overall against the Lions. I don't see them having much opportunity other than what I just said. As for the Bills, the keys to the game for the Bills, pretty simple. The Bills just can't turn the ball over. Just don't turn the ball over. As the Sabres got a little 2-on-1 shot score. I announced my first Sabres goal, Jack Quinn. stops, looks for a pass, and says, I'll shoot. Puts it in the net. Sabres up 5-1. I'll have to do Sabres play-by-play after the Bills season is over when the Bills finish on February 12th with a Super Bowl championship. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Thanksgiving, baby. Bills, Lions. It's going to be early, so we get to enjoy the game early and then enjoy a nice Thanksgiving dinner with the family. I hope you're going to have a nice time with whoever you're going to be with. God blesses my family. I hope you notice the blessings around your family. And, looking forward to a super blessing tomorrow when we see Buffalo clobbering the Lions. We'll see Josh Allen on the bench around the middle of the third quarter because the score will be something like, I don't know, maybe 44-20. Although I predict a close game. My prediction is Buffalo 30, Lions 28. Because, and I did want to show before I go, let's look at the Lions games and why I might say that the Lions can hang in there. Oh, I don't have their – oh, there they are. So the Lions, they lost that close one to the Eagles. Look at they scored 36 against the Comanches, the Composts, the whatever you call them. Then they lose a close one to the Vikings. Look at the points they scored against the Seattle Seahawks in a loss. And then they get blanked by the New England Patriots, 29-0. It's just kind of strange in a way. And then they just lay an egg against the Cowboys. They lose another close one to the Dolphins, 31-27. Then they beat the Packers. That was a gigantic win for them. And this is their 3-game winning streak. They scored 31 to beat Chicago. And they beat the Giants last week 31-18. So the Detroit Lions, I'm telling you, they're not a pushover. They are not going to be a pushover tomorrow. And so that's why I think the Bills win the game. But I would say I suspect that the Bills will not cover the spread. I'm not a betting guy, but I would suspect that the Bills are not going to cover the spread. That's my humble opinion on this one. All right, again, have a great Thanksgiving. Looking forward to the game. Oh, and I will be live streaming. And if you come across this video, go ahead and put your prediction for the game in the comment section below. If you get the score exactly right, I'm going to send you a hat and a pullover. No one's won. I've done that like for 8 games out of the first, how many we played now? 10. I've done like 8 out of the first 10 games, and so far no one has got it. So definitely put your prediction in, and if you get it, I'll send you a hat and a pullover. Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions tomorrow starts our winning streak as we head down the end of the season and a Super Bowl 57 in Arizona, where the Bills are going to win in 81 days. I promise you. See you tomorrow.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout, yeah, 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 yeah.
Say you will.
Shout it right now, baby.
Say you will.
Come on, come on.
Say you will.
Come on and shout.
Say you will.
Yeah.
Shout.
Buffalo's happening now.
Shout.
We're on the move now.
Shout.
The Bills are happening now.
Shout.
They're making it happen now.
Shout.
We got the spirit,
Shout.
a lot of spirit, yeah.
Shout.
We got the spirit.
Shout.
Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
The Bills make me wanna
Shout.
throw your head back and
Shout.
throw your hands up and
Shout.
kick your heels up and
Shout.
come on now. The Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout, yeah, 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 yeah.
Say you will.
Shout it right now, baby.
Say you will.
Yeah.
Shout.
Buffalo's happening now.
Shout.
We're on the move now.
Shout.
The Bills are make me wanna.
Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.